I have a lot of wonderful pieces coming in for review, but the artistic and unique nature of this timepiece has astonished me. For 120 bucks we get a true heritage watch. Heritage of a region in China's northwestern Gansu province, specifically Dunhuang, a city on the edge of the Gobi Desert. And we can see the landscape and terrain of the sunburnt earth inscripted and detailed on the beige gold textured dial. The bezel on here is decorated with the indigenous patterns of the region. The piece does wear smaller than indicated by the measured dimensions. Even on my rather slender 6.5-inch wrist there are no overhangs. And thanks to the downward slanting lugs, it does hug the watch real close to the wrist. So the watch here, this is a Welly Merck watch. It has been sent to me by Welly Merck. Big thank you. Well, this watch is breathtaking. It's different. And it's not expensive, like at all. So we are getting automatic. We get a stainless steel case, stainless steel bracelet. We do get a push-in crown though, but that's okay. For 100 meters water resistance, that makes sense. We do get a beautiful exhibition case back here with a decorated rotor. This is an interesting watch and it's different because that's what matters. There's so many homages, sometimes even clomages on AliExpress that when we get something as particular and unique as this, I think it's something to look at specifically. Anyways, in this particular review, we'll be talking about this watch in a lot of detail. The link to the listing is in the description below the video, so do check it out if you're after a sharp price. And now, let's get into it and talk about the details. With regards to the dimensions, we do get a diameter of 43 millimeters, a lug-to-lug length of 51.7 millimeters, a height of 12.8 millimeters without the cyclops. With it, it's 14.1 millimeters. The weight of the watch is 170 grams, and the lug width is 21 millimeters. Looking at the profile of the case, we can see the distinctive layering. So there's actually the case basin, and it's sort of elegant, it's not quite tall, and it's a very finely brushed flat flank. It's circling the midsection. You've got very short and stout lugs, which are facing downwards quite aggressively. We've got those gold accents of those crumb bars we have talked about earlier. Everything is nice. All the bevels are shaved off at the 45-degree angles, and these bevels are actually polished, so they do create this more expensive and a more dear look. As for the second layer, we've got the tall bezel, and this bezel is really tall. It's got the coin-like threading on it, so vertical threading, but it's very wide, and it's notchy enough to be considered comfortable to hold, and there's more than enough grip on here to actually make the rotation very easy and convenient. The ceramic bezel insert is beautiful. So if we talk about the design of this one, from 12 o'clock to 3 o'clock, we've got a crisscross section. And if we look at that design, that crisscross fashion, in the whole video, I mentioned that it looked a bit Scandinavian to me. Now that I've had the watch in front of me for a bit of time, I'm thinking, maybe even a bit of the Polynesian look as well. But it's not, right? So this is a heritage watch from China. So it is an interesting look. It's something different. On the rest of the hour markings, so for the 75% of that bezel, it's orange with a bit of beige, some interesting highlights. Of course, if you are going to be using the bezel for something practical, like measuring time, the only thing you can go for is, of course, the pip at 12 o'clock. On the right-hand side of the watch, we've got the push-pull crown. Another interesting point about the crown is that the tip is actually orange, complementing the colors of the bezel. This is a push-pull crown. It is signed though, so you've got that W inscripted on the tip. Also notice that the threading is different. It's got the diagonal 3D look in it, and the crown is sitting between crown guards. If we flip the watch over, we will see an exhibition case back, and it's really a screw down. It's screwed in by 6 screws. So that might explain why we only have 100 meters of water resistance here. But we have an image on the actual exhibition back on the glass. And that creates a bit more interest than just having a plain old rotor there. On the periphery of the case back, we can see a couple of the specs, we can see the brand name, and we can see the fact that it is a 100-meter water-resistant watch. With the bracelet, interesting, good, I like it, 3-link design. The tolerances are very good here. So we've got a wide midsection and very narrow outer links. The refinement is amazing, everything is very supple to the touch. As I mentioned, the tolerances are very good. If we talk about the fluidity, excellent, no issues there whatsoever. Considering that it's only a butterfly clasp that we have on here, it's still going to be quite easy to find the perfect fit. There are no half links, but considering that the links themselves are quite short, that should not be an issue. The whole case, just like the bracelet, the matte black here, it's not the shiny or the glossy black. It is a very fine brushing style, and it works. It looks great. It feels great to the touch. All the corners, all the edges are very nicely refined. There's nothing sharp, nothing out of place. And once again, that clasp. Just very simple engraving here of the brand name, and that looks classy and good. Now let's talk about the bezel action. I think that it works well. Once you take hold of the actual bezel, it's so easy to and convenient to actually hold it, to rotate it. It's not wobbly, everything is in right, it's quite tight. There is heavy resistance throughout the rotation cycle. There is some very minor backplay, but really quite insignificant. So far impressed with the watch. Now let's touch upon the sapphire crystal on here. So we've got a cyclops as well at 3 o'clock, magnifying the date at the 3 o'clock position. This is very good because the cyclops is sapphire crystal as well, so quality materials all the way through. There is a slight bevel of the sapphire crystal right at the edge where it meets the ceramic bezel insert. Let's look below the sapphire crystal. What do we have here? Well, we've got this beautiful, nice open dial, and it is truly beautiful. It's not just me saying things, you can see it. So we do have this beige gold sand patterns. We've got a bit of a riverbed down below, and it's going across the dial from 4 o'clock to 8 o'clock. The second hand is orange, complementing the bezel, as well as looking very distinctive on the beige background of the dial. The hour battens are elongated with lume on them. But at 12 o'clock, another interesting piece, which takes us back to more heritage, I suppose. It is a very distinctive 12 o'clock marker. The date window at 3 o'clock is sitting there in a nice, neat cutout. The Cyclops does magnify the date window just enough to about 2.5 times. It doesn't look overly big. It looks completely straight and in place as it should be. I feel like with this watch, Welly Merck, they had a vision and they went out and they followed that vision and they were inspired by it to create a watch. And it looks great. It feels nice and unique. It's so difficult to tell a story about a piece that's a homage or a clamage of something else. But here, it's their unique design. And when you have this on your wrist, there is a story to be told because it's Welly Merck telling a story of this particular place at the edge of the Gobi Desert. Interesting watch indeed. Anyways, thank you for watching the review. Hopefully you did enjoy it. The link to the watch is in the description below the video, so check it out if you're after a sharp price. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.